Hello, hello, hello. So it could be either the end of the world. All right. We've got a few teams here, but we are expecting a few more based on what I heard today. So we're just gonna wait a couple minutes till a few more people are here. But yeah, just say hi in the chat if you're here already, or drop a comment. I can see we've already got one or two comments. Um, yeah, if you're just watching and not playing along, let us know as well, so that we're not waiting all night. I'm just going to bring up the score spreadsheet just so I can see what's going on in real time. And then we'll probably start in a couple of minutes just with whoever is in. It was a bit down to the wire getting this one ready. Had a lot on this week. So looks like we've got four teams in at the moment, which is probably enough to get started in, let's say, 2 minutes if no one else shows up. But yeah, let's have a look. I've opened the wrong thing. Here's someone else jumping in. Hello. Sup? Tonight's beer is Zaganu, the bearded eagle, the granddaddy of the Bucharest craft brew scene. If any of you saw the, thank you very much, cat flaps in the room. Love to see it. All right, here's everyone. Okay, people getting in like mad. All right, so we'll be starting any second now. All right, so I don't know if, well, our ad couldn't run because it was inciting political violence or something. I don't know what they thought we were doing. So you probably haven't seen it, but the theme of this week's installment, our third installment, is ballots and bonfires. So tomorrow, America decides through a nominally democratic vote, while on Thursday, we're going to remember Guy Fawkes, who tried the alternative. So tonight's rounds will be loosely themed around those two events. Some looser than others. So let's just take a quick look at what the rounds are going to be tonight. Round one, as usual, going to be general knowledge. Round two will be our remember this stuff that happened. Little spin on the classic rhyme. Then we've got round three, internet poll trolls. So the team called Guy Fawkesy McForkface should have a good time in that one. Then round four, failed plots and schemes, lost the plot. Just other plots that were about as successful as the gunpowder plot. Then following that, round five, I can't remember what we called this round. It's all, thank you. It's all, politicians on the campaign trail not being able to eat food like normal humans. Then we have round six, executive expressions, and we're going to be hearing quotes from presidents with a twist. Then round seven, we've got the poll stuffing round. We're going to be looking at the results of some suspicious elections, and then capping off round eight, as usual, a second round of general knowledge. So that's plenty of time for everyone to get in. I think all the teams are here now. So we're going to get started with the first general knowledge round. And question one is, when and where was the largest fireworks display in history? So, related to November 5th, fireworks night, bonfire night. When was the largest display of fireworks in history? And the options there are New Year's Eve 2000, Australia, Sydney, Australia. New Year's Eve 2016, Manila in the Philippines. The Olympics opening ceremony in 2012 in London, or the Olympics closing ceremony in 2008 in Beijing. So, which of those four events had the largest fireworks display in history? Thank you. They came with a flat. All right. Question two. What was the first modern democracy which allowed all women to vote at the national level? Is it New Zealand, Iceland, Uruguay, or Japan? So, which of those four countries was the first modern democracy which allowed women to vote at the national level? And moving on to question three, I'll repeat all these at the end of the round. Gunpowder is a mix of charcoal, sulfur, and which other substance? So this is not modern gunpowder. This is old-timey black powder, not the smokeless stuff. So charcoal, sulfur, and which other substance? So your options there are lye, ammonia, saltpeter, and potash. Potash. So which of those four ingredients is the third ingredient in the gunpowder cocktail? Next, question four. In the most one-sided presidential election in American history, Ronald Reagan won re-election in 1984 by carrying how many of the 50 states? So the way elections work in America, you've got 50 states, and they are all decided on a first past the post basis. In 1984, Ronald Reagan won how many of the 50 states in the most one-sided election ever? And then finally, which of the comics, so if you're a comic book fan, you've probably heard of the British invasion of the late 80s, when a ton of British writers and artists suddenly start to take over the American comic scene. Which of the famous comic writers associated with the British invasion wrote the Guy Fawkes inspired V for Vendetta? So your options there: Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, and Peter Milligan. Which of those four wrote V for Vendetta? Which kind of the character V from that, given us like the V mask that is now associated with 4chan and Anonymous and all of that. The kind of popular conception of Guy Fawkes in the modern day. All right, so let's quickly run through those. One more time. Question one: when and where was the largest fireworks display in history? Question two: what was the first modern democracy which allowed all women to vote at the national level? So don't come at me with some little bit of trivia that I didn't know about some mayoral elections in like 1700s. There's national elections. Question three: gunpowder is a mixture of charcoal, sulfur, and which other substance? Question four: how many states did Ronald Reagan win in the 1984 election? And question five: who wrote V for Vendetta? All right, so we've got a couple of. I need to refresh that page. Couple of minutes now, or well, it's multiple choice around, so it shouldn't take you too long. Get your answers in. Anyone need any of those repeating? Just let me know in the comments if you do. Remember to hit submit once they're in. And already we've got 3 teams in. All right. So I'll give you a little while longer to get those in. It's my job to be bossy. It's like herding cats, this. Got 7 teams in tonight, so how many people have answered? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 more teams that we're waiting on. All right, so I think we've almost got everyone in. Just need to do a quick check of something. Tech on the tech side, and then we'll go through the answers. All right, so I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just waiting on one team. Let me try and work out who that is. There's one person entered the team name twice. Yeah, one of the teams entered their team name twice. So actually, there are only 6 teams. So everyone's in, and we'll go through the answers now. So answer number 1. I think no one got this one. This was a real. It was the shock answer. This was the one where you go for the trick answer because it actually is the answer. The record breaking display was part of the New Year celebrations in Manila nearly 5 years ago. It lasted an hour and a half in the pouring rain with over 800,000 fireworks. So I think most of those others were the record holder at some point. But yeah, the current record holder was in the Philippines. Then the second one, so Iceland was the first to give the vote to widows and like landowning women of self-sufficient means. Although at the time it was still a nation within the Kingdom of Denmark, and also the vote wasn't for all women, so it doesn't really count. So the New Zealand was the first country to give all women the vote at the national level. New Zealand. Then the final ingredient in the gunpowder cocktail is saltpeter, which can also be used to cure meat. So beware of exploding bacon. Then we've got 4. In his 1984 re-election bid, Ronald Reagan won a whopping 49 out of 50 states. Absolute, almost a whitewash. Challenger Walter Mondale only won Washington, D.C., which is not a state, and his home state of Minnesota. And finally, V for Vendetta was written by none other than the bearded snake shaman himself, Alan Moore. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did. We did identify that in the end that the double entry of Lockdown 2 Electric Boogaloo was the causing the confusion there. But now we know 6 teams in, so that will help things run a bit quicker on the next rounds. So let's have a look at how the scores stand after that round. So a bit small. And it looks like Cat Flaps is off to an early lead. That means the only question you got wrong was the question that everyone got wrong. Well done. And then joint second, we've got The Oven Smells Bad and the Goo Threes. I feel like one of those teams is trying to send someone a message. Cleo, you're saying you answered Manila. Okay. We need to change a couple of scores. I think there must have been an input error. Yeah, so a couple of teams actually got Manila. So that means a perfect score for Cat Flaps. We'll have those. We'll make sure that those scores get amended. Saltpeter. Now, this is weird. We shouldn't be getting any input errors on the questions. So we'll have to see what happened there. Right. Well, we got most of them. That's weird because it was scoring, giving some people the points and not others. Yeah, it says here that you actually have it, Guy Fawkes McForkface. But we'll make sure anyone that got any input errors get corrected during the next. Okay, so our producer's working on that. Yeah, we had to build a new form from the ground up this time. So a few just a few things in the conditional logic that haven't gone through perfectly. But so we're gonna have to score that one by hand. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay. Hopefully, the rest of them go without a hitch. So, we got any Americans in today? Yeah, we are. We've gone through. We've looked at them. We've checked the inputs, and we are aware of who has missed points. So they will be getting added up now. It's just going to take a few seconds to get them all totted up. But we do still have all your inputs saved, so we can, if it comes down to it, we can just make any corrections during the intermission. But we're just going to take a couple extra seconds now. So I think we've got the amended scores visible now. And that's Cat Flaps still in the lead with 5 points. The Oven Smells Bad no longer sharing the second spot. They are 1 point behind with 4. And yeah, I think other people have gotten the points that they were denied. But as you'd expect, after the first round, there's still everything to play for. Okay, second round. So we all know, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. It's a little nursery rhyme to help us remember what happened on the 5th of November. So what I've done is I've rewritten the rhyme to describe other historical events from November's gone by. And what you have to do is tell me what the hell I'm talking about. So first, question one, or rhyme number one. Remember, the 20th of November, when this power couple were wed. He's an old racist, and according to meme pages, Big Ben will explode when she's dead. So one more time, that's remember, the 20th of November, when this power couple were wed. He's an old racist, and according to meme pages, Big Ben will explode when she's dead. So you've got to just fill in the blanks. It's a fill in the blank situation for this one. And number two, remember the 24th of November, when this famous book was first published. Claiming natural law is red in tooth and claw. Does this mean my granddad's a goldfish? Remember the 24th of November, when this famous book was first published. Claiming natural law is red in tooth and claw. Does this mean my granddad's a goldfish? Fill in the blank. And rhyme number three. Remember the 26th of November, when this old tomb was opened up. Did Carnarvon come off worse from a 3,000-year-old curse, or was it an infected shaving cut? Remember the 26th of November, when this old tomb was opened up. Did Carnarvon come off worse from a 3,000-year-old curse, or was it an infected shaving cut? Once again, fill in the blanks. And okay, some people, refresh the page if you're having trouble. They're being edited on the fly just in case there's some little conditional logic errors. So this round is auto-graded as well, but we can only account for so much when it comes to spelling. So try to avoid nicknames and things we might not have accounted for when writing the logic for the page. Then remember the 14th of November, at least in this year, though it varies. This celebration of light will run all through the night, from Singapore up to New Delhi. Doesn't rhyme super well, but you get the gist. Remember the 14th of November, at least in this year, though it varies. This celebration of light will run all through the night, from Singapore up to New Delhi. And our final November rhyme. Remember the 9th of November. In this large west-east German town, the Volk hit the bricks with hammers and picks as this famous division came down. Remember the 9th of November. In this large west-east German town, the Volk hit the bricks with hammers and picks as this famous division came down. So, as with all others in this round, that is a fill in the blanks situation. So, each of those, I think there's all just one or two words in the blanks, so it shouldn't take too long to fill those out. So, you'll see you've got the answers there. You're able to fill that in. So, So I'm just seeing it coming in, making sure people are getting the points they are due. Get those in. We'll get your scores up as soon as we can. All right. This one seems to be going a lot smoother. So yeah, I'll give you a minute or two to get those in. Yeah. Okay, this is going a lot better. Yeah, so it's proving a little difficult for us to replicate some of the errors you guys are experiencing. So we're not sure exactly how they're getting into the page, but we will be double checking all the scores just to make sure you get your fair a fair shake of it, your fair due. Yeah, you can see producer Jessica in the chat. Um, so she'll be able to see your messages, and as she says there's the little chat function on the web page to message her directly if you need something that's specific to you or any discussions you want to have directly with her without everyone else seeing what's going on. Okay, but this mostly seems to be working perfectly well. And that's 2 points for question one as well. Because there's two pieces of information there that we need. Are there going to be any firework displays in London this year, or other parts of the UK? For those of you in other parts of the UK, because I guess it's something you don't actually need to be there to see them. You can see fireworks from quite far away. Okay, so just the one thing we're working on is someone who is experiencing a little bit of a tech problem that we're not really able to replicate. So they're just going to talk directly to Jess. I'll talk directly to you guys. What's going on? What's going on in your lives, guys? I know there's some people in the chat that I haven't seen in a while. But yeah, the auto scoring worked this time. So it just, I don't know, I think someone's having an input problem. And right, okay. So we're seeing here someone is, oh, I can't, the help button's covering the bottommost. The kids in the local park having a firework display. Yeah, so questions go there. You can see what Jessica's showing on the screen because there's one team. Who are we waiting on? Okay, so far we've received our answers from Cat Flaps, the Guthries, Towser's uncle, the oven smells bad, and Guy Forky McForkface. So that means we are waiting on Lockdown to Electric Boogaloo, I think. Okay. So someone, yeah, Lockdown 2, yeah, James Sheck, Lockdown 2, Electric Boogaloo was having that same problem earlier. Have you tried resubmitting or refreshing? We've got the rest of them in, and once that is in, we can bowl of cobwebs or drink a mug of dead flies. Bowl of cobwebs, of course, a bowl of cobwebs. How is this a question? I mean, presumably there'll be a few flies in a cobweb, but they'll be like mostly already digested. Ugh. Yeah. that is still, yeah. James, check the lockdown to just send you the score. Oh yeah, you could score yourselves, I guess. Um, all right. Let me just check in with Jessica, see what that's about. It's okay. That team has ended up messaging us the answers, so we can go through them now. Yeah, I just had to disappear to just check on with that. We've gone with the old personal message approach because I guess just a form submission error. Presumably that's an ISP thing because we got everyone else's. So let's have a look. The first one was, as you may have gotten from the Big Ben line, the rhyme describes the wedding of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. Yeah, there's that meme. Top 10 things that will happen when Queen Elizabeth dies. The like YouTube clickbait thumbnail with Big Ben exploding in the background. Then the second one was it referenced the theory of evolution by means of natural selection, which was popularized in its modern form with the publication of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species. But if you got close enough, like Origin of the Species or something like that, it's all good. You got the point. The infected shaving cut refers to a wound that the Earl of Carnarvon received to a severe mosquito bite, progressing to blood poisoning and his eventual death mere months after opening the tomb of Tutankhamun. That's the answer. Then the Festival of Lights, celebrated throughout Southeast Asia and India, is Diwali. Both spellings were fine. And the final rhyme describes the fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1991. And with that, we'll have a look at the scoreboards. So the updates, I think most people did pretty strongly in that round. Seeing a lot of fives and sixes, fours, fives and sixes. So great work there. Because there were 2 points for question one, so a 6 point round. And Cat Flaps stays in the lead, 11 points. Actually, widens the lead a little, it seems. No, that's how it was before, I guess. Like, yeah, widens her lead a little. Okay, great job, Cat Flaps. Just want to check in with that one team that were having the submission error, see if we can get that fixed so everyone, we can be getting all the answers in one place. So if you could just message me, can you see form 3? So the person on the team that had the submission error, if you could just tell me, can you see the third form? Like after you hit submit, did it automatically redirect you to the third form? If not, I will just private message that to you, and that way you can play with everyone else. And we're going to move on to the third round anyway. So round 3 is internet poll trolls, or poll trolls. So democracy doesn't always go smoothly, and nowhere is that more evident than on the internet. So the following round is all about online polls which were hijacked by internet pranksters. So an online contest, question 1, an online contest to pick which Walmart location Pitbull would play at was hijacked to send Mr. Worldwide to A, an oil rig in the Atlantic Ocean, B, a Walmart distribution center in the Arizona desert. C, a remote village in Alaska. Or D, a dry county in Kentucky. Dry counties are counties in America where no alcohol is served. They still have prohibition in some parts of the country. So, which of those four places did the online poll send Pitbull? An oil rig in the Atlantic Ocean, a Walmart distribution center in the desert, a remote village in Alaska, or a dry county in Kentucky? All right. Yeah, you have to enter your team name every time, guys. Otherwise, your answers just come through to the form, and it's just answers. We don't know who sent them. We would, if there were no team names, we would not be able to score the quiz. All right. Then the second question in troll polls, poll trolls, whichever way around is better. One of the most famously hijacked polls ever was the case of the research vessel RRS Boaty McBoatface. So, although the name won the poll, the organizers were Spoil Sports. They gave the vessel which name instead? So was that the RRS Endeavour, the RRS Ernest Shackleton, the RRS Sir David Attenborough, or the RRS Beagle? So which of those four names was the name they ended up giving what should have rightfully been called Boaty McBoatface? All right, the third question. In 2011, citizens of Austin, Texas, voted for which new name for the Department of Solid Waste? I can see why they wanted to rename it. So was that the Philadelphia Eagles trophy case, the Fred Durst Society of the Humanities and Arts, the Kansas City Style Barbecue Resource Center, or the Pauly Shore Acting Academy? So citizens of Austin, Texas voted for which new name for the Department of Solid Waste? I don't know whether that means rubbish or shit, but your options are the Philadelphia Eagles trophy case, the Fred Durst Society of the Humanities and Arts, the Kansas City Style Barbecue Resource Center, or the Pauly Shore Acting Academy? All right. Next question. What was notable about the school which finished first in an online poll to win a performance from Taylor Swift? Is it that A, it was a school for the deaf, B, it had been closed for over a year, C, it was a show dog training school, or D, it was an online school with no physical locations? So, what was notable about the school which won an online poll to win a performance from Taylor Swift? So, school for the deaf, it was closed, it was a dog school, or it was an online school? And then finally, we've got question 5. Cthulhu Allspark was the result of a 2014 online poll to choose the name of what? The A, a new flavor of Wrigley's chewing gum, B, a Canadian baby, C, the new mascot of a Melbourne Rugby League team, or D, Miley Cyrus's dog? So Cthulhu Allspark was the result of a 2014 online poll to choose the name of a new flavor of Wrigley's chewing gum, a Canadian baby, the new mascot of a Melbourne Rugby League team, or Miley Cyrus's dog? All right, so there you go. Remember, you do have to re-enter your team name each time. It's because it's a new form each time. The spreadsheet won't know who it's coming from otherwise. Um, so I'll give you a few more moments to get those in. All right, so that's round 3. All right, does anyone need any of those repeated? I'll run through them just in case. Question 1 was, where did Walmart have to play after a hijacked online poll? Question 2, what name did they actually give Boaty McBoatface? Question 3, which of those was voted to be the name for Austin, Texas's Department of Solid Waste? Question 4, what was notable about the school which won a performance from Taylor Swift? And question 5, what was Cthulhu Allspark supposed to be the name of? Okay, yeah, it seems like everyone has got the hang of it now. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so almost everyone's in. So we've got just Towser's uncle that we're looking for. So get that in Towser's uncle, and we will have a look through those. We've got a big spread here in performance on this round. Do you need anything repeated? Towser's uncle? Oh, okay, there we go. I think I may have just been occupying the spreadsheet field. That might be my fault. Actually, I wonder if that was my fault earlier. I wonder if I caused the other fuck ups by occupying the spreadsheet fields. Whoops. Okay, but that does mean every team has their answers in, and we can look through the answers. So let's do that now. So first, Pitbull was sent to Kodiak, Alaska, a town with a population of about 6,000 people on a remote Arctic island. Unlike many of the other entries in this round, he was game and he actually honored the results and played to a crowd of hundreds. Then, Boaty McBoatface, notorious. I think everyone got this. It was a pretty well covered story at the time, not that long ago. It was named the RRS Sir David Attenborough. Well deserved for Sir Dave. And they did actually name a submersible Boaty McBoatface aboard, like attached to the David Attenborough. Then number 3, apparently in 2011, making Fred Durst jokes was still a culturally relevant thing to do. So that's what they were doing. It was the Fred Durst, what was it, School for the Humanities and Arts or something like that? Society of the Humanities and Arts. Okay, then for the winning school was, for the Taylor Swift contest, was Boston's Horace Mann School for the Deaf. Taylor did not play there, although she did make a $50,000 donation to the school. Kind of a difficult one to play, because if she did go and play there, it's kind of like, I don't know, she's making fun of deaf kids. And then finally, Cthulhu Allspark was the resulting name from a poll created by a Canadian couple to name their newborn baby. So once again, that was another internet poll decision, which was not honored. They didn't call the baby Cthulhu Allspark. Disgraceful. Well done everyone there. I think a mix, I think a pretty mixed bag in terms of how people did there. Let's have a look at the standings. Does that mix things up at all? Not really. At the top, we've still got Cat Flaps. Great job from Cat Flaps. The Guthries and Towser's Uncle, and Lockdown 2 Electric Boogaloo, all doing very well, all still within striking distance of the top spot. Within that kind of one round can change everything zone. And then just behind that, we've got The Oven Smells Bad and Guy Forky McForkface, only a point below that, so still pretty tight, the whole pack. And now on to the fourth round. This is the last round before a little intermission. I'm going to get a new beer and go to the loo. You guys can do the same. So, failed plots and schemes. So, what I'm going to do here, I'll tell you about a plot that has failed somewhere, and I'm going to ask you something about it. From which there'll be 4 options. In this one, you can pick more than one. So there'll anywhere between 1 and 4 of the options will be true for each one. So a lot of points available in this round. So actually, it could, even the people who are 6 points out of lead could still come out on top after this one, because there's a lot of points available here. So the first one took place this year. In May, a private military company from the US attempted to assist Venezuelan dissidents in overthrowing Nicolas Maduro from office in Venezuela. So, what bonding activities did the two groups partake in prior to the plot? So that's the U.S. like non-government private like paramilitary guys like Blackwater. I can't remember what they were called, but they were like Blackwater, and the Venezuelan dissidents. How did they bond? So the 4 options are eating hamburgers, watching Jennifer Lopez and Shakira in the Super Bowl halftime show, playing baseball, and singing the American national anthem together. So anywhere between 1 and 4 of those is true. You just need to check any that you think are true. All right, the second one happened in Iowa. A social media influencer in Iowa concocted a plot to steal a website domain at gunpoint. Ultimately, the victim managed to overpower and shoot the assailant despite suffering what attacks? So, shot in the leg, stabbed, pistol whipped, and tased. So, which of those did the victim survive before turning the tables on his assailant? Then we've got plot number 3. This one happened a bit longer ago. Counterfeiters in Springfield, Illinois, attempted to steal what from Abraham Lincoln's tomb? His beloved taxidermied dog, his service medals, his body, or his iconic stovepipe hat? So check all that apply. Okay, next happened during World War II. This is a particularly amusing one for me. So during World War II, Americans planned to destroy Japanese morale by exposing soldiers and civilians to a Shinto portent of doom, Kitsune, fox-shaped spirits with magical abilities. How did they plan to do this? Was it paint the foxes with radioactive paint and release them into the forest? Fly fox-shaped balloons over villages? release fox smells and sounds near villages, or attach human skulls to taxidermied foxes and fly them over villages attached to kites. So check all that apply. Anywhere between 1 and 4 are true there. So how were they planning to lower Japanese morale by making them think they'd seen kitsune? And finally, I'm just want to say this before I read question 5 and before anyone hits submit. Just select ones that you are pretty sure of, because it's a point subtracted for a wrong answer. So otherwise, you could just choose all of them every time. So you get plus 1 point for choosing one that's right, minus 1 point for choosing one that's wrong. Okay, so then question 5. Following the complete failure of the plot to murder Carol Baskin, which of these charges were among those that Joe Exotic was sentenced to 22 years in prison for? So supplying Schedule 1 narcotics, attempted murder for hire charges, violating the Endangered Species Act, or operating a zoo without a license. So which of those charges stuck to Joe Exotic? I think we all probably watched Tiger King earlier this year. So just to go through one more time, question 1 was what were the bonding activities that the American private paramilitaries and the Venezuelan dissidents bonded with? Number 2, what did the victim of the web domain heist survive before turning the tables on his attacker? Then question 3, what did counterfeiters attempt to steal from Abraham Lincoln's tomb? Question 4, how did Americans try to destroy Japanese morale during World War II in one of the harebrained schemes? And question 5, which of those charges was Joe Exotic convicted for? So there's between 1 and 4 correct answers for each of the questions. So this one is a bit longer. We're going to give you a bit longer for this one because there could potentially be more than 1 correct answer for each question. And also, we'll take a little bit longer to score because there's just more things to double check. So it's the perfect time for us to take a short intermission, probably 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to help Jessica double check the scores as they come in and grab another beer. You guys do the same. Get your answers in as quick as you can, and see you in 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. Okay, guys, intermission still in effect. A couple of teams to get the answers in. Just to remind you, or in case I didn't explain it clearly enough the first time, if we're not taking away points you already earned, so you can't get a negative total score on this round. You can't score worse than 0 on this round, so don't worry about that. We're not taking away points you already got. But yeah, for the two teams who are still working on it, just in case you were being like extra careful for that reason, just allaying those fears, and I'll give you another minute or so to get those answers in. That was a fun one. First time using that input format, but I think it does a lot to like mix things up. And we'll run through and we'll see what was true, what wasn't for each one. So the failed coup, the hilariously failed coup attempt in Venezuela. The two activities that they took part in were eating hamburgers and watching the J-Lo and Shakira halftime show. I guess it is a merging of South American and USA culture right there. So, yeah, just those two. Then the Iowa website domain plot. The victim survived being shot in the leg, pistol whipped, and tased before turning the tables and shooting his attacker 3 times. So that was everything except stabbed. He was not stabbed, but everything else. So pretty good to get out of that one alive. Then counterfeiters in Springfield, Illinois attempted to steal Abe Lincoln's body. So that was the only correct answer in that one. During World War II, Americans had a plan to trick Japanese islanders into thinking they'd seen fox spirits by all 4 methods: painting foxes with radioactive paint and releasing them into the forest, flying fox-shaped balloons over villages, releasing fox smells and sounds near villages, and attaching human skulls to taxidermied foxes and flying them over villages attached to kites. All of those are real ideas that were proposed at various points during the operation. And finally, the Tiger King question. Of those 4 charges, it was the attempted murder for hire and violating the Endangered Species Act that Joe was convicted on. Also, some other animal-related offenses, selling them over state lines, stuff like that. But yeah, those were the 2 big ones. So that really mixed things up. Although not enough to dethrone Cat Flaps. Still just hanging in there. And the Guthrie's in second place, 1 point off, opening up a little bit of open field between them and third place. Still pretty close with half the quiz to go. And no one is completely out of it yet. So we're moving on to round 5. It's a bit of a pictures round. So once again, this one's more of a election themed one. So looking like an idiot on the campaign trail can mean death for an election bid. And there's no easier way to look bad than to be photographed while eating. So we're going to see 5 photographs of politicians who, in various ways, outraged the voting public with the consumption of a popular foodstuff. Number 1, and perhaps the most notorious food gaffe in British politics this century, what was Ed Miliband awkwardly eating in this famous photograph? So I've censored the food there with a healthy apple. Was it a bacon sandwich, a bacon and egg sandwich, a bacon butty, or a BLT? Bacon sandwich, bacon and egg sandwich, bacon butty, BLT. What was not so red Ed eating? All right, question 2. Over the pond to America. What did Barack Obama do to this burger that had critics accusing him of being out of touch with everyday voters? Did he eat it with a knife and fork? Did he eat the top half and the bottom half separately? Did he put Dijon mustard on it? Or did he wash it down with sparkling water? So what did Barrio do to that burger? Question 3, we're going to go down under to Australia. What was former Prime Minister Tony Abbott eating in this picture that provoked reactions of confusion, disgust, and outright horror? Was it a raw potato, a raw onion, an unpeeled boiled egg, or a kiwi with the skin on? Once again, scented with a healthy apple. So a raw potato, a raw onion, an unpeeled egg, or a kiwi with the skin on. Okay, so from a couple of national leaders, we're going a bit more local in scale. In 2014, New Yorkers were incensed by Mayor Bill de Blasio eating what with a knife and fork? A classic New York bagel, a classic New York hot dog, a classic New York chopped cheese sandwich, or a classic New York pizza. So, which of those classic New York street foods was Bill de Blasio eating with a knife and fork that so offended true New Yorkers? And then question 5. Finally, why? So this one's a little bit further back. Why was British Minister of Agriculture John Selwyn Gummer roundly criticised for this 1990 photo op of himself enjoying a hamburger with his then 4-year-old daughter? Is it that hamburgers were seen as too American? Were the hamburgers made of Irish beef during the height of the Troubles? Was the photo op to convince the public of the safety of British beef at the start of the BSE crisis? Or was he filmed taking the burger away from his crying daughter as soon as the photo op ended? So, was it too American, too Irish, too mad cow, or he was the burger snatcher? All right. Well, we will double check those in a second. While we're grading the next round, we'll double check the last round as well. Yeah, well, I don't know what team they are. Yeah, so does anyone need any repeats on that round? And Leopard Print, what's your team name? So we can double check that. But it doesn't seem like anyone needs any of those repeated. All right, and we've already got some. A very good question. The definition that I am using here, a bacon butty is in a roll, and a bacon sandwich is between two slices of bread. Um, I think I'm not. I think I would say I'm not alone in this. The only food that you could acceptably describe as a butty that was between two slices of bread would be a chip butty, right? Everything else, if it's a butty, it's in a white roll. Anyway, for the purposes of this question, you're working with my definition of a bacon butty, which is you could call it a bacon bap, bacon cob, bacon balm. I'm sure every village in the country has their own word for a white bread roll with bacon in it. But that is the definition of bacon butty I'm using for the purposes of this question. Yeah. So if you're saying in the chat, if you've got just a query and it's about your scoring, just mention your team name as well, just so we can quickly and easily see what the problem may or may not be. And yeah, we've got almost everyone in already. Well done, guys. Looks like most people did pretty well there. But just the oven smells bad, I think. But yeah, I think with the it's hard to keep track of your own score with the previous round, because you have to not only remember how many you got right, you also have to work out how many you got wrong and subtract. All right, so I think everyone's in now, so we will run through the answers. Have a look. Yes, indeed. Okay, so question one. It was just a bacon sandwich. Hopefully you all avoided my cunning decoys, variations on bacon sandwich. But it was just two slices of bread with bacon in the middle, no egg, no lettuce, no tomatoes. I considered using sausage sandwich as a decoy, but I thought, why even bother? No one's going to get tricked by that. But yeah, pretty easy peasy if you were alive in the UK at any point during that period of time, you were aware of that bacon sandwich. Okay, question two. That la-di-da fancy lad Obama had the audacity to spit in the oil-smudged face of the American worker by putting elitist French Dijon mustard on his hamburger. Listen, Barry, you may think your farts don't stink with your law degree and your American birth certificate, but the only French mustard I want anything to do with is French's mustard. Like, it's French's. It's called French's. It's not French. It's American mustard called French's mustard. You know what I mean. All right, question three. Tony Abbott munching on a skin-on raw onion straight out of the dirt like a fucking maniac. Question four. Bill de Blasio was snapped eating pizza with a knife and fork, although he has also infuriated New Yorkers with his bagel opinions, and he's also a Red Sox fan, so I think maybe he just became mayor of New York as part of an elaborate prank. Question five. Finally, we saw John Selwyn Gummer feeding his young daughter a hamburger potentially full of bovine spongiform encephalopathy prions. So it was his job to make sure people didn't get variant CJD or whatever CV. I can't remember what the human form of the disease is. And he didn't do a good job at that. Surprise, surprise. Tory governments with a bad response to public health crises. No, we can't get political. That's why our ad got pulled. Anyway, fictional presidents. So we've got video rounds. So we're going to see some clips of some of the most iconic fictional presidents in Hollywood. And then there'll be so they were. It was right. Okay. Yeah. Almost skipped straight ahead. Well, now you know what the round's going to be, but we'll check the score table first. There it is. Okay. Oh, and the Guthries have caught up with Cat Flaps. It's tied at the top. 21-21. Towser's uncle in third with 15. Guy Forky McForkface has overtaken Lockdown 2 Electric Boogaloo. So there's still movement at the bottom of the table. Everyone's still in it, technically. but it does seem like a two-horse race at the moment. But let's have a look at that video round. So, as I said, we're going to see some clips of fictional presidents from Hollywood, and there'll be questions either about the clips or about the movies or about the presidents. The questions are more or less going to be related to the clips. So, let's roll the first one. So, what action movie hero line does the president say next? So, all good action movies. You gotta, have a little pithy line as you kill the main baddie. What does the president say in this movie? So 10 seconds to think about that. Type it in. It's a typing one. It's not multiple choice this time. So give you a couple of extra seconds to get it in. Type and enter before we roll the second clip. Okay, let's roll the clip for question 2.
Good evening. A few minutes ago, the United States ambassadors to every country in the world told the leaders of those nations what I am about to tell you. It's a bit complicated, so it will take some time, so I hope you will bear with me. Hear what I have to say.
All right, so there we see the president taking a pretty long and winding path to telling the world some important information at a press conference. So what was he going to tell people? Just summarize it a lot more quickly than the president does in that movie. What is the big announcement? All right, so a couple more seconds to type your answers there. Okay, you guys are the good threes. We'll remember that for future reference. All right, then let's see the clip for question 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America! President Camacho! Shut up! Sit your monkey ass down. Chill out.
Okay, so after that action-packed introduction to the president, we're going to see his teleprompter. What will be the first word of his prepared speech? So we'll see on his teleprompter the first word of the president's prepared speech. So one word answer. Just one word. That's all you need. You don't have to enter it now. Obviously, anything can be changed until you hit submit. So we'll see the clip for question number 4.
We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Okay, so we thought that clip was maybe a bit too well known to do a what happens next. So it's just kind of a tangentially related question. Who did Bill Pullman sit next to at a private pre-premiere screening of this movie? So there's a special private screening of this movie. Who was Bill Pullman sat next to during that? And finally, the 5th question in this round doesn't have a video, but it's related to all the previous questions. So according to polls, which of the previous presidents would most Americans elect if they were a real candidate? So if all fictional presidents were real candidates, which of the above presidents would Americans elect? So take a second to think about that. So that's the in the form there. You'll see the president from question one, the president from question two, president from question three, or the president from question four. So take a second to get your answers in for that. And because this question also requires a little bit of double checking of the answers, just to make sure our spelling catcher doesn't like stop people from getting points for minor typos and stuff. We just have to double check. So we might take a little mini break, you know, two minutes or something, just to check the scores as they come in. And just also make sure we've absolutely triple checked the that plots round, which I think was a tricky one. So yeah, we'll be back with you in about 2 minutes. So, people unsure about the last question. Yeah, they're voting for the fictional character. So not for the actor. They're not saying which actor would they vote for. Which of those fictional characters would they vote for if they were a real politician running for president? So not who's their favorite movie character. If and it, so this poll was not just these four characters. It was a bunch of famous fictional presidents from film and television, like Frank Underwood and stuff like that. And it was who would you vote for if they were a real politician really running for office? And one of these four won. One of these four characters was the winner. So was it the fictional president from question one, the fictional president from question two, from question three, or from question four? Okay, guys, is everyone in? I think we're just wait. We can't see the Goo threes, but given the kind of night we're having, I wouldn't be surprised if you'd submitted it and it's just gotten lost in some cul-de-sac of internet. So just in case, you want to hit submit again, just to make sure we've got everyone's answers, and then we'll read them out. Because I think that's the only set of answers we're waiting for. I have made sure that my cursor is not occupying a field that's supposed to be populated. In case people didn't see in the chat, everyone's round 4 score has been adjusted. One of the questions did not get auto scored. Was the reason people's teams might have been people's scores may have been 1 or 2 points off. Okay, So, okay, we're just going to check those. All right. So let's start reading out the answers. Question 1. So the classic action movie hero line. Oh, no, we're not doing this yet. Oh, right, yeah, because I need my producer to play the clips, and she's currently occupied. But okay, we are almost done totting up. Okay, we are ready. Okay, I just when it's going on, just 15 seconds too fast there. Okay, so question 1, the action movie hero line that Harrison Ford says.
Get off my plane.
Keeping it simple. It's very important that we see that he's broken Gary Oldman's neck before he throws him off the plane. That is of the utmost importance. Yeah, get off my plane. Nothing too flashy. That's so Harrison Ford, isn't it? Okay, next one. What is the president warning people about in a very roundabout, grandfatherly manner?
Working on a mountaintop in Arizona,
Shh.
saw something
Nobody say
in the
anything.
night sky that caused them great concern. Comet.
Yeah, a comet, asteroid, meteorite, meteor. We accepted any of the main space rocks. Okay, then question 3. What was the first words in the prepared speech?
Shit. I know shit's bad right now, with all that starving bullshit. And the dust storms, and we running out of French fries and burrito coverings.
Yeah.
Shit. We also gave the point to shit, even though it's not exactly what he says. He does just give us short shit, but you got the spirit. And also, glad we managed to get burrito coverings in there. One of the best jokes in the movie. And finally, which of the above presidents would most Americans elect if they were a real candidate? So, although James Marshall, so he won so Harrison Ford's character in Air Force One is called President Marshall. So the president who shoots terrorists on a plane is called President Marshall. Great subtle naming there. And he actually had the highest approval rating. But when asked who they would vote for in a real election, Americans narrowly opted for Morgan Freeman's President Beck. He's just really got that, presidentialness to him, doesn't he? He's so safe, ignoring what we know about his personal life. Okay, and yeah, that's all of them. All right, so we are going to go on to the scores, the score table. So it looks like it's still tied at the top. Cat Flaps and the Guthries. Towers' uncle still 5 points behind. Everything else, I think everyone else is still pretty much in the same relative position as they were before. We'll see if there's any shifting in the final 2 rounds, but it's still deadlocked at the top of the table. So Cat Flaps versus Guthries, about for the ages, it seems. So round 7, almost done now. So we're going to see some dodgy elections. So what we have here are 5 elections where some form of election tampering happens. What you have to do is match the political candidate or the victorious political candidate from each election to the percentage of the voters that they won. And so those are Charles D.B. King in the 1927 Liberian presidential election, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. I'm sorry to any Turkmen in the audience. In the 2007 Turkmenistan presidential election, Saddam Hussein in the 1995 Iraqi presidential election, Yon Aliman in the mayoral election, in this year's mayoral elections in Devizelu, Romania, and Robert Mugabe in the 2008 Zimbabwean presidential election. So match the dodgy vote to the scores, to the totals that they received. So you should have a little drop-down menu. There's 5 different percentages. You have to match the percentage to the candidates. Right. Yeah, we got a lot of dodgy elections that we could have chosen from. It seems to be a quite popular thing to do during elections. Come on, guys. We've only got one team in yet, and it's just a drop-down menu. This is, a bit of those kind of randomizer rounds that we like to throw near the end. No one can really know this stuff, can they? But it's a bit of fun. What kind of margins do you think we're expecting tomorrow? I don't think anyone predicted. Oh, here they come. I don't think anyone really. Very few people predicted the last one. We had to get a little bit of contemporary Romanian politics in there. There's a good story behind that one. I'll let you know when I'm doing the scores. Okay, we've got about half the teams in. Did anyone do anything for Halloween? Is the whole country locked down now? I honestly probably wouldn't remember if probably wouldn't notice if Romania was locked down because we are basically hermits anyway. So I thought I saw someone in the chat earlier saying we do have an American. Do you manage to get your vote in? Oh yeah. Work is getting in the way of participating. Oh, MJ is a great voice for leading meditation. That was about an hour ago. As of this Thursday. As of this Thursday, what? I'm talking too much shit. I can't really keep track of what you're replying to. I also keep forgetting that there is like a 20-second delay on the stream. So okay, so I think we've got all but one in. So yeah, did everyone who can vote? How would you vote if you were American? Would you vote? I guess I don't think I don't think we have any potential Trump voters in tonight, but would you bother voting? I think it's easy to feel a bit over the whole thing recently, innit? All right, so still a couple of teams are waiting on. I am just filling time, waiting for that. It's a bit of a tricky one. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. Go with your gut. I do think this one. I do think this round's probably gonna mix things up a bit based on what I've seen so far. I think all of our streams so far, we've had it go down to the final rounds, and I have a feeling that might be happening again tonight. It's a good sign for me. It means it's a well-balanced quiz. All right, just one more team now. So we'll say 30 more seconds, guys. All right. So I think, yes, everyone's in. So let's go through those answers. So first, Charles D.B. King in the Liberia 1927 presidential election. He got 1,680%. 1,680% was the Guinness record for the most fraudulent election ever reported in history. Ballot boxes stuffed far beyond the population of the country. After that, we heard Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. He got 87.3%. So he faced no meaningful opposition. Didn't really have to work too hard to rig an election in those conditions, and won by an overwhelming margin. Then, following that, he just upped it a little bit each following election. Then up to 89.2, then 97, then 97.7. So he's kind of gonna asymptote out. Then Saddam Hussein in 1995 got 99.6% of the vote. It took the form of a referendum with no other candidates. The election involved giving voters paper ballots that said, "Do you approve of Saddam Hussein being the president of the republic?" Officially, 3,052 people voted against him. Then we heard Yon Aliman. He got 64%. He was re-elected for his third term. This wasn't so much a case of corruption or ballot stuffing, presumably just a popular local mayor, but the illegitimacy comes from the fact that he died of COVID-19 10 days before the election. And finally, Robert Mugabe in 2008, he got 85.5% of the vote. So during that time, Zimbabwe was in a pretty bad economic situation and was expected to provide his toughest electoral challenge up until that point. He kept the results private for more than a month until his opponent announced he was withdrawing. And then in the runoff, he got all of his votes. So who knows how many he actually got. So let's see if we can see the scores after, or how the table is standing. We'll see if it's all totted up yet. Okay, so it's out of order, but we can still see that the Guthries have pulled ahead a little. They've gotten a 2-point lead, 26, with Cat Flaps now relegated to second place. So a front runner the whole time, now in second place. And Guy Forky McForkface is slowly clawing their way up the rankings, 22. So only 2 points out of second, 4 points out of first. So that means there's at least 3 or 4 teams. Yeah, who else have we got? Towns' uncle on 20. Maybe a little bit too far behind for first place, but could still get into second. So there's a good few teams that could still come out of this very well in the final round. And so it's back to general knowledge, just to close off the evening. So to go out with a bang, like fireworks. Okay, so question 1. Guy Fawkes was sentenced to be hanged, drawn, and quartered. But what was the cause of death? Was it A, asphyxiation while hanging? Was it B, shock while being castrated? Was it C, blood loss while being disemboweled? Or was it D, a broken neck incurred jumping from the gallows before his hanging? So he was sentenced to be hanged, drawn, and quartered, but what was the actual cause of death? Okay. Question 2. While we're on brutal execution methods of the past, what did the possibly legendary ancient Greek execution method, the brazen bull, entail? So was the victim gored to death by a bull with bronze spearheads on the tip of its horns? Was the victim roasted alive in a hollow brass bull? Did the victim have a red hot bronze horned helmet placed upon their head? Or was the victim tasked with eating an entire bull, inevitably leading to their death from overeating? So, which of those is a description of the possibly legendary ancient Greek execution method, the brazen bull? Okay, the third question. Fireworks were developed about 1,000 years ago in China. It's thought that they were originally inspired by the sound of what? Is that A, thunder, B, exploding fermentation vessels, C, burning bamboo, or D, volcanic eruptions? So which of those things, which of those sounds is thought to have inspired the invention of fireworks in medieval China? Question 4. Which ingredient gives the bonfire toffee, traditionally eaten on Guy Fawkes Night, its distinctive dark color and slightly bitter flavor? So, depending on what part of the country you're in, you might have different names for this, and it may be more or less common, but it's like dark brown toffee. You'll often see it for sale if you go to like a fireworks display alongside the toffee apples and candy floss and whatever else. So is its distinctive dark color and slightly bitter flavor the result of treacle, coffee, dark chocolate, or licorice roots? And the final question of the evening, pretty straightforward one. What is the minimum age requirement to run for President of the United States? Is it 18, the universal age of suffrage in the United States? Is it 25? Is it 30? Or is it 35? So which of those is the minimum age requirement to run for the office of President of the United States? 18, 25, 30, 35. I'm going to run through all 5 questions one more time. And then if you need anything repeated after that, let me know in the comments. So question 1, which of those 4 was the cause of death for Guy Fawkes? Question 2, which of those 4 describes the ancient Greek execution method, the brazen bull? Question 3, which of those sounds inspired the invention of fireworks in China? Question 4, which of those ingredients is responsible for the dark color and slightly bitter flavor of bonfire toffee? And question 5, what is the minimum age requirement to run for President of the United States? So, any final repetitions needed? Doesn't seem like it. So, I'll give you a minute or two to get those answers in, and we'll see the final standings. Oh, this is I'm on tenterhooks. What is it? I'm excited to see who's going to win this. It's very close. I think between those top 3 teams, they've all had good outings the last few rounds. I think it's going to be pretty close. No one needs any of those repeated for the last one. We've got 2 teams in already. Has anyone got any garden space or anything that they can have, buy one of those little mini firework displays, the home ones, where it's just like you get what they've all got silly names, right? Like the peacock flower or whatever, and it just shoots like green sparks. It's like a little pyramid that just shoots little cone, shoots green sparks in the air, fountains and whatever. Where you get like one Catherine wheel, or sometimes you have to buy the Catherine wheel separate from the main set. You just nail it onto your neighbor's fence, or nail it onto the fence that you share with your neighbor. Set fire to the climbing plants. Always get stuck. I don't think I've ever had a Catherine wheel that didn't get stuck. Stay safe. Don't play fireworks. Not worth losing a finger. What about pet people? How do your pets cope with bonfire night and New Year's and stuff like that? We've got them pretty much year round here. There'll always be some kids setting something off. All right, we've got 5 teams in, so just one more. I will say now it looks like we have a decisive winner. We've got Guy Fawkes, Cat Flaps, Lockdown, that was Uncle the Gooseberries. Right, so I think it's the oven, the dirty ovens, and then we'll have them all in. We'll be able to go through the answers and declare a victor. I think I figured out who most of these teams are. I think there's still 1 or 2 I don't know. All right, come on, dirty ovens. Unless the page just hasn't refreshed yet. Oh, there you are. You're in. All right. So let's have a look at those answers then. So first question, we had Guy Fawkes, and like anyone facing the prospect of being slowly tortured to death, Guy was not having any of it and hopped off those gallows sharpish. Although they did hang, draw, and quarter his corpse anyway. I guess not that it bothered him after he was dead. Then the possibly apocryphal torture and murder device, the brazen ball, was a bronze ball in which a victim was roasted alive. The tortured screams acoustically transformed into melodious moods. Its first victim was its inventor. So the whole embellishments to the description of the brazen bull, like it was fashioned in such a way that the scream's victims would turn into moos of a bull, and even that the smoke would turn into sweet incense. Seems like probably this was made up, or a very highly fictionalized version of just a more conventional burning to death. Then question 3, the invention of fireworks. So air pockets in bamboo explode with a bang when heated, and have been used during celebrations in China for about a millennia before gunpowder-packed fireworks were invented to replicate the sound. Question 4, Bonfire Toffee, also known as treacle toffee. Bit of a clue there. It's unsurprisingly primarily flavored by treacle. And question 5, the final one. The minimum age requirement to run for the President of the United States is 35. Although in the last couple of elections, it seems as though this has been misinterpreted as the minimum age for the candidate's oldest grandchild. But yeah, you can run for president when you're 35 years old. All right, so that is the final question, and so we should be able to see the final scores. And the Guthries have run away with it in their final round. Solid showing there. They extend their lead even further, an additional points on Cat Flaps. 29 points for the Guthries, 26 for Cat Flaps, and 24 for Guy Forky McForkface. House's uncle, late surge there. It comes within 1 point of cracking the top 3. Doesn't quite pull it off. But congratulations as well to The Oven Smells Bad and Lockdown 2. Electric Boogaloo, I assume that says. Yeah, no one fell too far from the top of the pack. I think everyone was in it at various points. I remember Lockdown got up pretty high earlier in the quiz. But congratulations to the Guthries on a well-deserved win. Really sealing the deal with a great final round. Yeah, so we do these every Monday. Remember to check back for updates and see on our Facebook page whether we're having a themed one. Next week's probably going to be unthemed. It was a bit of a stretch trying to get this many questions about elections and plots. Stephen thinks that Owen's got 4, not 3. Let's have a look. Brass ball or 35. Yeah, we'll check the oven. Okay, but fantastic work, guys. I think it's safe to say that the Guthries are the winners. That was a pretty convincing victory. Tell your friends, get everyone involved. The more, the merrier. It says here, yeah, okay. It says that you submitted the answer 30, and the answer was indeed 35. Yeah, tell your friends, get everyone involved. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing them. Jessica, sometimes she's been under a lot of pressure tonight. So thanks in the chat to Jessica for dealing with a lot. And yeah, hope to see you back for future installments. And also, don't forget that we got brother Hulk Hogan there. Don't forget that our privately hosted event, Vampire Hunter, the Trivia Mystery, is running for the duration of November. All right, thanks for coming, guys. I'm pretty sure everyone here tonight is someone I know in real life. So cheers, guys. All right, bye.
a tough man, gonna show you what it feels. He's a strong man, tell him what you need. He's a strong man, he can do anything. When you need help, it becomes something real. He's a tough man. Tell him now, tell him what you need.
I will never fail again. After all I've been through, after all I've made it through. Oh, you can trust every word I say, every word I say. I'm gonna keep my head up high, and you can see it in my eyes. So much darkness I can fight. Oh, I won't forget what I have faced. I won't forget what I have faced.
He's a tough man, gonna show you what it feels. He's a strong man, tell him what you need. He's a strong man, he can do anything. When you need help, it becomes something real. He's a tough man. Tell him now, tell him what you need. He's a tough man, gonna show you